The Ocean-Driven History of Humankind. Introduction. We often look at human history as a series of land-based migrations. But what if the true key to our ancestry isn't found in the earth beneath our feet, but in the currents of the ocean? Our channel is composed of a think tank of scientists and researchers dedicated to a new, global action plan. Our goal is to verify the real history of humankind. Because we believe that recognizing our true ancestors is the missing link to solving our modern challenges, including the climate crisis. The hypothesis. We claim that the expansion of modern humans across the globe was not a random drift, but a process defined by 4 primary ocean gyres. These currents acted as the world's highways. We are providing genetic and mathematical proof that our ancestors were always in close spatial and temporal contact with archaic groups like the Denisovans and Neanderthals, not just in Eurasia, but initially in the Americas, Oceania, and Sunderland, today's Indonesia. In this latter case it was dominantly Denisovans. These currents acted as the world's highways. We are providing genetic and mathematical proof that our ancestors were always in close spatial and temporal contact with archaic groups like the Denisovans and Neanderthals, not just in Eurasia, but initially in the Americas, Oceania, and Sunderland, today's Indonesia. In this latter case it was dominantly Denisovans. In South America it was Denisovans plus Neanderthals. Still today all Native Americans carry more Neanderthal DNA than in the rest of the world. If it was not out of America, but instead out of Africa and next into breeding with Neanderthals, then Native Americans would not have had the highest percentages of Neanderthal DNA and still a higher percentage of Denisovan compared to the rest of the world, only with the exception of some islands in or near Oceania. That said, the line between Denisovans and Neanderthals is thin. In fact, the line is also thin between them and ourselves. The difference is that the Neanderthals were hybridized based on or introgressed by European ancient modern humans. And the Denisovans were hybridized based on or introgressed not by European ancient modern humans, but by Oriental ancient modern humans instead. The case study. Bridging genetics and geography. Please look at your screen. We are pointing to 2 main Pacific currents and the Atlantic current that flows directly toward the UK, Iberia, and the Atlantic facades. Please do not focus on the names we are pointing at, but look at the gyres, of which each one covers half of one ocean, of the only 2 oceans in this planet, the Atlantic and the Pacific gyre. Each gyre is composed of several currents, which are not much more than mere names given to stretches of each gyre. Consider a certain woman from the UK. Her DNA markers suggest she has lived there for thousands of years, likely since 40,000 to 70,000 years ago. Apart from significant UK DNA, she also carries significant Iberian DNA. The standard interpretation of consumer DNA tests suggests these are just origins. We claim something different. These markers actually represent the range of destinations of her common ancestors. So each origin most probably was one expedition route, with at least one ship or one fleet carrying members of her ancestor tribe. The destinations were probably not focused on all or many at the same time. They would only look and explore other destinations in case they did not have all the resources they needed. These were Suruí-like people, a highly mobile, navigating group who descended the Amazon. Next were picked up by the North Atlantic Gyre, the AMOC, and spread across the globe. Why the Amazon? Because the Amazon's headwaters in the Andes are strategically positioned, effectively placing this region at the center of the world's oceanic highway system. The Suruí and their likes today live in the Amazon, but in range of the feet of the Andes. If a group of them would let themselves drift and survive, they would arrive in all the so-called origin places of this UK woman, plus in her final destination in the UK. This UK woman carries a 2% fraction of their Suruí DNA. In fact, she carries 2% of this Suruí tribe and their immediate likes, who today are less than 5,000 individuals. This while Europeans supposedly carry the same 2% of Neanderthal DNA. This while the Neanderthals had a range which covered a significant part of Eurasia, together with the Denisovans they covered all of Eurasia plus Indonesia, Australia, Oceania plus South America. So the Suruí and their likes had been very active and efficient, as proven they are the first spreaders of modern humans. You can find the proof as well as most other answers in this series, but you can always ask for it in the comment section, and it will be our pleasure to answer. The mathematical breakthrough. This isn't just theory. OutOfAmerica's already is abundantly proven in other of our videos and channels. But this time and in this series, the proof of the ancestor of all modern humans will be granular, at the level of one tribe in one medium-sized Amazon Amerindian reserve. Out of the Americas already is abundantly proven in other of our videos and channels. But this time and in this series, the proof of the ancestor of all modern humans will be granular, at the level of one tribe in one medium-sized Amazon Amerindian reserve. By the way, this tribe is forbidden to practice quite a number of their ancient practices. Further, they are enclosed and threatened by agro that created radical borders with their relatively small piece of the Amazon forest. Consumer DNA data. We are using consumer DNA data to provide mathematical proof of these migration routes. This data is the catalyst for a breakthrough, providing the empirical evidence needed to move past the standard and increasingly improbable dogmas of human history. On top of ancestral markers, consumer DNA data does rewrite human history, certainly the Amazon Indigenous History. Whether it's the expansion to the Harappan civilization in the Indus Valley, or across the Pacific to Polynesia and Madagascar, the logic of these currents remains consistent. The action plan. Our objective is to use this historical clarity to spark a new era of prosperity. If we humans understand our potential as a species that chooses to produce all it needs by means of carbon agroforests, we can solve our greatest challenges. Especially so if we remain or become even more a navigating, connected species. Our problems and challenges do not come from food production at all. They exclusively come from unsustainable food production. Again, especially so if we remain or become even more a navigating, connected species. Our problems and challenges do not come from being a navigating, connected species. They come from unsustainable forms while being a navigating, connected species. Our Amazon Amerindian ancestors, now known to be the ancestors of the Suruí tribes and their likes, together roughly 5,000 individuals. But similarly, the ancestors of all Amazon Amerindians in all of the Amazon forest and region knew the above all too well. Their food production, as well as them being an intensively navigating and widely connected group of humans, was 100% sustainable and recyclable. Even their burials were sustainable, mostly cremation or clean skeletons, often recomposed after rigorous cleaning of the bones, in a waking position in urns, quite often even in a family or collective configuration, as if they went on living forever. We see evidence that for them, at least some of these deceased somewhere were considered to be positively involved in the birth of next generations. We see evidence that for them, at least some of these deceased somewhere were considered to be positively involved in the birth of next generations. The burials often are incorporated into a functional landscaping itself, which often is quite impressive. So there is sustainability and recycling in the burials as well as in the functional landscaping. These practices largely stopped 500 years ago as they and their tribes were disrupted, their leaders and wise people mostly killed and their cultures destroyed and forbidden. Few tribes are studied, but one tribe that is studied provingly presents the best heart and brain health in the world. Scientists refuse to recognize that this could be and probably is because of their now more limited but still intact carbon agroforest practices. Their food is always organic and minimally processed. Their staple food is cassava, and it is sustainably produced inside the forest, in between stumps that will grow back as Amazon forest after 3 years of use without fertilizers and without machines. In our opinion, their meat they consume is more from fish from their ponds and from animals like pork animals raised with the waste from their carbon agroforests, than it comes from hunting. So all this literally started and thrived with sustainability. We advocate for carbon agroforestry, modern, highly efficient variations of the Amazon forest. By implementing these practices, we can achieve massive carbon dioxide removal at no net cost, proving that the solution to our future lies in understanding our true past. We keep emphasizing that our rewritten human history isn't just history for history's sake. It is about learning from our ancestors and the past when we humans were provingly thriving, and next building a scalable model for a thriving, sustainable future for all 8 billion modern humans and their descendants in the future. Just to be clear, we claim and prove in other videos, series, and channels that all 8 billion humans can be perfectly, organically and sustainably fed, only in and consequently by the carbon agroforests in South America. The only requirement would be dedicated drones, with most of them the size of a sloth or a small chimpanzee. Obviously, ideally carbon agroforests should be spread over all continents and managed by humans of and in all countries. Most of the remaining human tasks would dominantly be executed online from the homes of humans, or from kinds of offshore centers, or potentially of all countries. These carbon agroforests would not only produce all the food, but also all fuels and materials. The source of all this food, fuels and materials will not be, and in fact cannot be, anything else than the excess carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. This model obviously will have the industrial carbon dioxide removed, which scientists call CDR, which stands for carbon dioxide removal. We try to stand relatively neutral in the affirmation of the need to remove carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere to regulate climate, as this will at best be insufficient to regulate the climate locally and globally. What we do claim is that the needed amount of carbon agroforests, together with existing forests and eventually temporarily remaining normal agriculture, then receiving biochar or organic fertilizer produced by the carbon agroforests, will regulate and restore climate locally as well as globally. These aspects are abundantly explained and proven to be practical and realistic in other videos, series, and channels.